It's another Wednesday, which means it's another me on your Talking Reds this evening, lunchtime?
Yeah,
Still morning.
Yeah, well, call it morning.
It feels later than normal, I've got to say. And you may have noticed, after his stellar performance last night,
invited me back again,
I'm
I can't believe
Mr.
it.
Paul Senior back with me, honestly.
I'm honoured, Mo. I really am.
You were scoring off the charts in all of the new important metrics.
First time for everything, mate. First time for everything.
I should probably also say thank you for the extra 200 followers on Twitter.
Things I do for you.
Yeah.
This is why you get invites back.
He persuaded me to do the really radical thing of use my own name, and consequently more of you found me, so thank you.
Do you know when people type in Mo Stewart and they don't find you? It helps that they now can.
They now can, it's true. But anyway, enough about me. We've got literally loads to talk about today. It's been bursting out the seams trying to write an agenda. Unlike the struggles that Craig had yesterday, we've got plenty to go with. And the first thing we should probably talk about, the international break is now, it's over. You can all relax. We only lost one guy, so we're quite happy about that. But I want to talk more about the football itself and a little bit more about the international flavour, looking forward to the World Cup. We touched on it a bit last week, and there's been some developments. You and I, we both watched Germany-Brazil as opposed to watching England, and it was very interesting to see them both kind of go about it in a slightly different way. Brazil in particular, they had a lot more of what you call a solid midfield. Looks like it's a plan that could work.
They're not. This isn't a Brazil side for me. That's a typical Brazil side. It's very good at the back. So in terms of what they played last night, they go Alisson in goal, Alves right back, Marcelo left back, Miranda and Thiago Silva, who were outstanding. Then you think of a Brazilian midfield, Flair. No, it was solid. It was Fernandinho, Casemiro from Real Madrid, who's an outstanding holding midfielder. Paulinho having a great season at Barcelona, unexpectedly. Then it was Willian, Gabriel Jesus and
some other lads, short guy, I forget his name.
He plays in Spain, little prick. And Coutinho as well, So, the way they were set up, it was balanced. And we were talking just before we came sort of on air for this about the fact that now all them players are playing in Europe, they're playing in the big leagues, they're all at the big clubs, and they say that Brazilians don't do it in the European World Cup. I know where I'm putting my money.
Yeah, it was a very impressive performance and the kind of thing from which they can definitely build. Very interesting though. They looked really balanced, they looked really well, they looked good without Neymar.
Yeah.
Now, when we compare it to some of the other games, we saw France do a really good performance recently, and they started without Pogba. Pogba did come onto the game, but they started without him. And then when you look at Argentina, who played without Lionel Messi.
Yeah, well, things are a bit different for them.
It went slightly wrong.
Yeah,
they lost 6-1 to Spain. 6-1 to Spain, and it was a 6-1 performance. It wasn't like they scored all the goals and late on. It was Argentina didn't know what on earth they were doing kind of performance.
I watched the wrong game. First and foremost, so yeah, I watched the Brazil-Germany game, and then while I'm watching that, so I've completely avoided all the games trying to go. I've taped a few on Sky, and I've gone, right, I'll watch this, and my mate texts me halfway through the have you seen the Argentina-Spain score? That in my mind is Argentina have done Spain, you know, when he texts me that. But to see that score, it's completely unexpected. I mean, I went out for lunch yesterday with a friend, and we were just talking about who we think about the World Cup and all the things we're sort of talking about now. Europe, can the South Americans do it in Europe, that sort of thing. And I went, Argentina, you know, Messi will come up with blah, 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 you know, all the talking about all the stigmas around Argentina, how much they rely on Messi and how much do they rely on Messi.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
They do. It's interesting though, we were talking on another show about their riches up front, the amount of options they've got up front. When you think about Mauro Icardi, Paulo Dybala, Sergio Aguero, none of those three were playing either.
I haven't seen the Argentina team.
Yeah, it was Higuain. He did start up front. They had Metza supporting him, but again, their midfield was where the problem lied for me. They had Lucas Biglia, they had Mascherano, they had Pavon, none of whom were really...
legs.
Ever Banega came on and he did look a little bit more sprightly, but if I was an Argentinian fan, I would be worried because I don't think even the magic of Messi is enough to get them into the latter stages, when you look at them matched up against some of the other teams.
They could do with almost spreading the wealth a little bit. I mean, there's this. We were talking, I think it might have been on last week's Talk on Red, where you've got 6 or 7 players. They might just have to find a way of getting on the pitch. So Di Maria, Messi, Aguero, Higuain, Icardi. I think they almost need to front load because they're so weak in other areas. You know, you're talking about Mascherano, but you're not talking about the Javier Mascherano of old. There's Javier Mascherano that plays in China because Billy's dropped off.
He has dropped off.
So the supporting cast that's always sort of been mobile and strong is not sort of there anymore.
I mean, I guess we should talk about England.
Can do if you want.
Yeah, there's a few Liverpool players in there, we might as well.
Yeah, okay.
On the face of it, on paper, 2 good results, 2 better than average performances. I'm not going to go up on the whole VAR business. We'll have plenty of time to debate that one into the ground. Got a summary
of that, haven't we?
Yeah. But, I mean, from an LFC perspective, we should kind of bring it back to that a little bit. Good to see Adam Lallana getting some minutes and looking like the old Adam Lallana, which he seems to do a lot more for England than he does for Liverpool in probably the last few appearances. But it could be a springboard for him to be back to himself. Yeah,
I think Gareth Southgate's sort of building the side, not to win, not to play the best 11, but almost to play international football. And Adam Lallana sort of fits that brief. He's very technical. He can pass the ball really well. He can move it around. But I just think he's the most international footballer England have got. So he can he can do the competitive side, you know, the English football, but also he can mix it with the technical Argentinians, Brazilians, Spanish, these sides. So I think he's going to be a big player for England, and I'm not surprised Southgate tried to get him in. That being said, from a Liverpool-centric point of view, it's nice to see him getting minutes because he's not been able to really get them in this free-flowing, all-conquering Liverpool side at the moment.
And he's going to be needed.
Absolutely,
he's definitely going to be needed.
I mean, we've got this run of games coming up, and I mean, the obvious one to start making changes is the derby. I don't think you'll see many changes at the weekend for Crystal Palace. I think we'll go strong, almost like a dress rehearsal for the Manchester City game. Then the derby. Now, we can probably make, and I'm not sure if many people are aware, but you can almost make 6 or 7 changes in this Liverpool side and not really notice. So we're talking about the back 4. So obviously Joe Gomez gets an injury, but in a regular period you could change your right back, Gomez or Trent, centre half, Lovren or Matip. They've been in rotation all year. Van Dijk is obviously occupied the left centre half slot, and Klavan hasn't really had a look in.
No, he hasn't.
But Ranier Klavan around January time before Van Dijk arrives is the first choice left sided centre half. So you can make that change if needed. Moreno can come in for Robertson, and don't get me wrong, I think there's a drop off. But I don't think it's a massive drop-off as in previous years. Same in midfield. You can go Oxlade-Chamberlain for Wijnaldum or vice versa. Lallana can come in for Chan or can play the number 8, you know, and then you can change around the number 6. So
I think up front, I think is probably that's probably the one area where we aren't really going to see as much rotation. I think it's interesting talking about the defence, and the guys touched on it a little bit yesterday regarding Nathaniel Clyne and when is potentially the best time to bring him in. I can see it happening against Palace, and the only reason I can see it happening, well, not the only reason, a good reason, is this is the club that he started his career at.
Yeah.
So he's going to be thinking about a lot of positive things when he's on the pitch. He's going to be obviously happy to be playing football again.
Yeah.
I think that adrenaline of being back somewhere where he's less likely to get booed by the opposition, for starters. Give him an hour, make him feel a little bit like he's back, and then bring on Trent, and then you can start to see him maybe in other games where we've won or we're in the process of winning, we've got to put the game to bed, he can come on, get an extra 20, get an extra 30, slowly build him up to be ready to go again. Yeah,
look, I'm looking forward to seeing Clyne back. I think he's probably still our best right back. I don't know where he's going to be at the moment, but yeah, be interesting to see how he gets on.
It will be interesting to see how we get on. I've got a prediction for Saturday as well.
Okay.
I think that as long as we score the first goal, I think it will be an easy win, and then I think we'll be able to see some other people coming in, the likes of maybe even Dominic Solanke.
We'll have to see.
We'll see. And speaking of Solanke, there's something about him in the papers that's coming up right about now. See what I did there? The magic of editing. Thanks, Sam, for making me look good. No, Dominic Solanke scored a goal last night for the England under-21s against Ukraine. A very good goal it was too. Nice little header from the 6-yard box. And this is after he'd been injured. He couldn't even get his foot into his swollen boot. Wow, I wonder what that feels like. Yeah.
How was the foot, Mo?
Today's actually my first day wearing 2 shoes.
It's right, well then.
Thank you.
Progress.
Yes, it is. But anyway, enough about me. So this is good, right? We've got a guy who can hopefully come off the bench and start scoring now, maybe?
I've got a question why England are playing him if he can't get his foot in the boot. That's my first concern. But no, it's good. I think I would love Dominic Solanke to break his duck for Liverpool. I think that's quite important. Almost so there's a sort of positive swell of opinion on him as well. He's clearly talented. There's clearly a reason that Chelsea is so upset Liverpool got him. I don't think the tribunal's been yet for that, actually, has it? No, so who knows what we're going to pay for him. Maybe this is a big ploy to bring his value down.
Well, this is it. Like, Danny Ings did the opposite, didn't he? He kind of he had a really great start, but the price was high, and then he disappeared. So, yeah, if he's doing a reverse Ings, I'm all up for that. But you're right. I think a lot of the good things he's done on the pitch at Liverpool have been clouded by the fact he hasn't got that first goal.
Yeah.
So to see him do it again, we've said this before, the quicker we can get it up, the better. But for me personally, I've got faith in the lad. I think that he's going to be a good investment for us, maybe more towards next season than it is this season.
He's still very young, isn't he? So, I mean, the thing is with us, we've got such an array of riches up front. The drop-off is substantial. But he's a young player, as I said, one of the best clubs in the world. Chelsea are sort of upset about the fact he's gone. He's got something about him.
It's interesting as well because a lot of the rumours we've been hearing have been. First of all, we spoke about here Timo Werner being linked. That's now been kind of poo-pooed a little bit by James Pearce from the Echo.
Give us some good news, James.
But the interesting part is that the reason it's been poo-pooed is that because of the potential of Ryan Brewster to step up to the first team squad. So if Klopp's looking at this, he's going to have a cabal of maybe Ryan Brewster, Harry Wilson, Solanke, Ben Woodburn. If he's going to be looking at giving those serious minutes next season, then that's something that's going to potentially save us a bit of bob.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the type of guy who's rather you just went and bought the best player.
Yeah.
You know. But I understand. I understand why that's an exciting thing, and it's also part of a project for a manager. I mean, Mourinho's always slapped down for the fact you don't bring people through from the academy. Ryan Brewster, I think, might be a bit of a coincidence. The fact he hasn't signed professional terms yet. So all these positive things going out, I would imagine it's got a little bit to do with that. The cynic in me, anyway.
Yeah, the cynic? You?
Me.
Never. Anyway, moving on. It's another one of your favourite subjects here, Paul.
This is probably my favourite subject, I would imagine.
The Echo have done a piece speaking about who are we going to be partnering Virgil van Dijk in this crucial period for Liverpool and obviously going forward. And it's that old debate, it's Lovren versus Matip, the new Lampard or Gerrard. Now, Paul, for anyone who doesn't...
a lot much slower scale.
But a little bit lower scale. For anyone who doesn't know, you are very much in the Lovren camp as opposed to the Matip camp, aren't you? Now, to some that would seem a controversial opinion. Would you like to explain yourself to the people at home?
It's not necessarily that I'm pro Lovren. It's more that I'm anti Matip, I suppose. No, my opinion is that when we signed him, so many people going, "Oh, John Matip and Rolls Royces of a defender." And I'm like, no, he's not. He's absolutely not. Just because of what he can pass, is this a thing that we measure defenders on? I think he lacks the aggression to be a top centre half, and I think if you want to look at a Rolls Royce of a defender, look at when he plays next to Virgil van Dijk. That's a Rolls Royce of a defender. So when it comes down to Lovren and Matip, my opinion is neither are probably good enough long term. If you're telling me that a third choice, I'm all right with either of them.
Okay.
I still think there's a quality gap, and you can see the difference that a top quality centre half makes when you look at Van Dijk play. If you can add, it doesn't even have to be at the same ilk of Van Dijk, but just better than what we've got there. then I'll be absolutely fine with
Well,
it.
the numbers suggest something similar because both of them are playing better with Virgil than they are together.
I think that's helping the goalkeeper as well.
It is.
You know, so obviously there's not really much of a debate about Mignolet versus Karius anymore. Karius has had a good second coming in his Liverpool career. But the thing that distorts it a bit is the fact that he's got to play with Van Dijk. You know, where Mignolet's had to play with them two for so long.
But we've got to go with one of them. Now, me personally, I'm a little bit more on the fence, in as much as initially I was a Matip man, but you can't ignore the fact that he's definitely been poorer this season. But looking again at the numbers, it's quite interesting because they are so close on so many different metrics in terms of pass completion, in terms of interceptions. The only two that they're not the same on is in terms of aerial duels and tackles. And Matip takes the lead on
That
this.
surprised me, to be honest with you, because you see Lovren as sort of the more combative defender, and I think when they played together, that's sort of the role that was expected of them. So that number surprised me.
But maybe that's the problem. Maybe because his percentage is down, because he sees himself as always having to throw himself into situations where sometimes stepping off a little bit and dealing with the second ball, as probably he maybe should have done against
I mean, one of
United.
the things that's impressed me most about Van Dijk is his movement. So we always talk about forwards movement, but actually, if you watch Van Dijk in depth, he'll sort of, his movement's like no centre half I've ever seen. Really, he'll sort of peel back. He'll run in a different sort of line where centre halves will normally just go with the man that way. Where I like being able to do this. It's so much different than audio.
We can see your hands, man.
Whereas Van Dijk will just take a different angle, take a different line. And we've seen when Van Dijk came to Anfield with Southampton, he tries slightly different things. So he steps out, doesn't he, and he gets caught out. Okay, I don't want to see him do that for Liverpool, but I think he's innovative as a defender in terms of his movements, and these two, it's too much of a drop off for me.
It is. I mean, I would still be looking at trying to maybe buy one in, because the argument again is maybe Joe Gomez is being groomed to be his long-term partner, but we haven't seen him enough as a centre-back to say that he'll be able to start the season next season.
This is the issue we've got, I suppose, when we're trying to push for the top honours, is that all of a sudden you got where, say for example, when we got Emre Can, you can sort of deal with the project because you're on one, but next season Liverpool are looking for the title, and you can only win that with the best players. So I'm all for Joe Gomez becoming a centre half. But if you're gonna say Joe Gomez is coming on centre half, okay, that's fine, third choice. You know, that's where I am.
But I mean,
with a second choice ahead of him.
You can look at it and say that our current squads, we've got one first choice centre half and 4 third choice centre halves.
Yeah.
So we probably need a second one.
That's my point. Yeah. So someone has to vie for that third choice. I'd be content with Clavin remaining as fourth choice. So if that means them two leaving, I'll drive you there.
I love this. The whole point of this is either or, and he's saying neither.
That's a fair one, isn't it? I think if I'm going to be fair to them both, they're still here, and we've got to use them till the end of the season. I think they've got roles for certain games, you know. So
okay, so are you picking Lovren both legs against City? Sounds scary when you say it like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'll probably do Matip at home. I thought Matip performed well in the game because there was no Van Dijk in that game. He was ill, wasn't he? So it was them two together. They performed really well together on that day. But I'd probably go Van Dijk, Matip at home, and then away. I think Lovren, he's been caught out on the big occasions sometimes, but then if you look at the Dortmund game, I think that big occasion suited him.
Believe it or not, I would actually pick Lovren for the derby away. I think that in terms of that physical presence, Everton don't really have it up front that will trouble him. I think he kind of owes Calvert-Lewin one, so to speak. So I think he'll be motivated to play well. And I think that's the kind of game where essentially there may well be a point of just having to battle, not necessarily having to think about pretty football, just having to see out a result and behind enemy lines, so to speak. I think that's the kind of challenge that he thrives on.
Would you play him with Van Dijk, or are you resting Van Dijk?
No, I think Virgil's got it in him. I think he can go through. I think in terms of the 4 games, not looking at Bournemouth as the 5th in the 2 weeks, I'd say Virgil, Karius and the front three are probably going to be the only ones I see playing all the games.
Yeah.
And I'll be happy with
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
One final thing, talking about the City games. And now Neil and Craig spoke about the tickets issues we've been having here at Anfield regarding the priority ticket scheme and UEFA partners who are now seem to take a lot more of their allocation than they did, which has left Liverpool fans who've been to all the games.
It changes when you get to the knockouts, doesn't it?
It does, and unfortunately there's loads of Liverpool fans who've been upset about this, those who've been to 3 or 4 games, like myself, who haven't been able to get tickets for this game.
And they have to suffer Porto 0-0. Well, yeah.
However, if we look at our neighbours to the east, City, they still haven't sold their tickets out, the second leg.
Unbelievable.
Still haven't sold them out. There are tickets available. I'm really tempted to try and find some of my old City supporting uni mates and ask them to get me a couple.
Yeah, I think you need, for City, you need 1 credit. You might find some people with them lying around just don't wear colours, blend in.
I mean, obviously, there's been a lot of talk over the whole season and the last 2 seasons about the fact that City have had some empty seats at some big games. They haven't sold out any of their European games over the last 2 seasons. It's just mind-boggling. And when you put it within the framework of the hoo-ha over who's going to support the bus and all this kind of stuff and what makes an atmosphere and who should really be doing what in terms of fans, job number 1 before you start talking about this or that, sell out your damn ground.
Yeah, I mean, what are you in it for? That's my thing. This is a game the whole of Europe wants to watch. What are you in football for? I mean, if you can't sell your ground out for that, you may as well pack up now. If I'd be embarrassed not to sell that game out.
And I mean, there may well be an argument to had regarding pricing, because I mean, let's face it, the people who run the club, Manchester City, and the people who support the club are on very different budgets.
Yeah.
Which is again probably a similar situation to what we have here, but. When you think about City in the dark days, in the 99, when they were in League One and they were playing playoff finals against Gillingham in order to survive, the support they had then was remarkable. They were still getting 30,000 in League One then. So now, when they're doing well, I just can't understand how they're not as popular. The people aren't able to fill out their own grounds.
There's a time to feel disenfranchised, and I suppose that's when you're in League One, Champions League quarter-finals against Liverpool. Yeah, sell your ground out.
Sell your ground out, lads. Anyway, enough about that. We have some more shows coming out today. In fact, we've got 3 shows. I told you, it's a jam-packed show. We've got so much going on.
The real stuff's back, isn't it?
Hey, what can I tell you? So we've got the Wild Card show that's coming out today. We've got the Central League show, which is always a really good contrast to some of the other stuff that we get up to. And we've also got a Roto Fantasy League show coming out. Now, speaking of shows, with the 2 of us here, it would be remiss of us not to mention a certain European show that's being recorded tomorrow. Now, any chance...
I was doing the Sadio Mane mimic there. No.
Beautiful. So, is there any sneaky peeks on the agenda? Anything that you should tell me to watch tonight? So I can...
Well, we're gonna look at Italy. That's the best title race. We've looked at Italy a lot this season, but for the right reasons. We're gonna have a look about who performs in the friendlies as well. I think, and who could be potentially on the move as we come in towards summer, and who might miss out. And there's some interesting bits.
It's a really exciting weekend coming up in Europe when consider you've got Bayern against Dortmund, you've got PSG against Monaco, so there's all of that to come. Fantastic show, which we both really enjoy making. So get on that. That should be coming out later tomorrow. We've also got a competition, something else you may have heard about yesterday. It's a competition to win 2 tickets, 2 golden tickets to the Manchester City game.
Are you playing Willy Wonka here now?
There are so many things wrong with that I'm not even going to get into it. But yeah, we have got a competition running in association with ResBet to give you 2 seats in the Carlsberg Lounge. So you get the posh seats, you get a beer as well. As long as you're actually going to be cheering as well, we can't have people just sitting there prawn sandwiching up. We need an atmosphere in this game. So that's my own personal...
it's Mo's rules.
That's my rule for the competition.
He's a big guy, don't mess with him.
If you want to see the real rules for the competition, they're in the description below this video. as well as on our website. So go onto our website, sign up, get a chance to be at a fantastic game with a really good atmosphere, we hope. I think that's everything.
I'm just going to keep doing it.
I'm just going to... And honestly, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, Paul, so I'm all about it. Thank you very much. We've loved doing the show, as we always do. Robbo's back tomorrow with the Reds.